The first time I had an opportunity to be reverse mentored was my first year of teaching. I teach a course in inclusive web design at my university, so I teach a lot about technology development. I teach a lot about inclusion. And I was up in front of my class, over 200 students, talking about one of my favorite topics, inclusive design. I mentioned at the end of class that I would welcome feedback, that this was my first year teaching, that I was still getting to know how to be a good teacher, and I wanted them to kind of give me some input. So I'm after class, and I'm just sitting there kind of coming down from that excitement of lecturing and putting my things in my bag and everything like that. And I see this young student come down from the back of the classroom. She came down and she stood in front of me and she said, "Hey, you asked for feedback. I have some ideas." And she proceeded to launch into what seemed like an endless list of things that I had done wrong during class that day, or I had done wrong according to her opinion. And of course, I was a professor, so there's a lot of pride that comes with that position. And to hear from a student who is in their beginning of their academic career that you're doing something wrong, it kind of hurt a little bit. It kind of made me feel uncomfortable, and it made me feel a little bit vulnerable. I took it upon myself to kind of see through maybe her approach and try to understand a little bit better about what I could do to be better. And so instead of just kind of blowing her off and saying, "Oh, I don't have time for you. You don't know anything. You're just a student. Come on, I'm a professor. What are you going to tell me?" I took a moment, I stepped back, and I kind of collected myself. Because again, it was a feeling of vulnerability to hear how many things you were doing wrong. And she was absolutely right. Those things she had brought up were things that I was doing wrong. And so I asked her, I said, "Could you please come back to me with my office? I would really like to go through this list with you together, and I would like to talk through each of those points just so I understand." And it was a very important kind of decision for me to make at that point, because when we went back to my office, I could have just gotten defensive and just said, "No, you're wrong. I don't think so. No, 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 no." Or, "You don't understand what it's like to be a teacher." But instead, I tried to listen. I tried to just tune into what she was getting at so I could understand a bit better about what I could do to be better. That student went on to do some amazing things in both her bachelor's and her master's degree. And we continued to trade off mentorship, her mentoring me and me mentoring her as she grew and developed. But her advice is what I credit with getting me where I am today, because her advice helped me look a little bit more inward to understand what are the things that I'm doing that could be better. What are the things I'm doing that are limiting my growth? What are the things I'm doing that disconnect me from my students? And so once I started putting those things into practice, I started connecting to my students in a whole new and different way. And that connection, the general vibe of it spread throughout my department and throughout my faculty. I became known as the teacher that the students really love. And it would never have happened that way had I not listened to her and taken her advice. It would never have happened that way if I had just blown her off, told her she didn't know what she was talking about. So I think this story has the crux of reverse mentorship kind of baked in.